What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of the Stow-On-Side Stufful, aka B, bringing you guys our weeks 4, 5, and 6 battles for ABDL Season 2. This is the movie Part 2. First up here, we are taking on the Glimwood Gloom. If you don't know what ABDL is, I explained that in the first part, and I also go through our replays for weeks 1, 2, and 3. Definitely recommend checking that out. I walk through the draft that we have, what ABDL is, what happened in the last season of ABDL that I did not upload. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So just hopping right in here, week 4, we're taking on Opal and the Glimwood Gloom. Their team consisted of Aegislash, Zeraora, Primarina, Donphan, Lycanroc Midday, Duosion, Mega Tyranitar, Galarian Darmanitan, Eldegoss, Porygon Z, and Hitmontop. I don't recall exactly what I was expecting or not expecting, but Sand with Lycanroc Midday is a lot of good speed control. The Zeraora is really fast. Galarian Darmanitan is likely scarfed against my Yveltal. Aegislash, I'm always scared of weakness policy sets for. Just running through the team that I brought, I've got a Scarf Yveltal here, designed to be able to outspeed Galarian Darmanitan as well as potentially autotomize weakness policy Aegislash, but that's up in the air. Realistically, also outspeeding the Zeraora, which is important. I have Dark Pulse, U-Turn, Oblivion Wing, and Foul Play. The idea behind Foul Play is that it OHKOs Galarian Darmanitan right off the bat, and it can also punish an Aegislash a little bit better than Dark Pulse might. The problem being King Shield, of course, but Foul Play shouldn't worry much there. It's going to do relatively significant damage to the Mega Tyranitar still because of how offensive that is, and realistically this entire team is really physically offensive, so I wanted to be able to get Foul Play damage off there. Oblivion Wing is pretty much only there for the Primarina that didn't show up, and U-Turn is pretty valuable still here too. I'm outspeeding the Galarian Darmanitan with that. Mega Beedrill, I'm running U-Turn, Poison Jab, Drill Run, and Toxic Spikes. Lots of speed on this to outspeed the Zeraora. Just pretty basic Mega Beedrill set with Drill Run for a lot of stuff. I can proc Weakness Policy and whatnot, but the U-Turning there is the important part. Next up is Lando T, Rocky Helmet, Lando T for the Mega Tyranitar, as well as the Lycanroc and the Zeraora. The Zeraora has a really difficult time hitting Lando, so it's sort of like week 1 where I brought defensive Lando T to handle the Mega Scissor. Same sort of idea here for a lot of the physical threats, as well as Intimidate just being really helpful against this team, especially the Lycanroc Midday. It's really going to struggle against me, and if that's the Sand Sweeper, then so be it. Earthquake, Rocks, U-Turn, and Defog. Defog of my own because I'm running a lot of flying types, and I'm not running like Boots on Yveltal or Roost or anything, so I want to make sure that I can at least get rid of those rocks if I really have to. Enough speed on this for Porygon Z, which did not show. Mienshao, I'm running a Scarf Mienshao, so again, back to the dual Scarfer strat. I'm actually running Regenerator with Drain Punch, which is kind of odd, but Regenerator U-Turn is really good because I can pivot into moves and then just U-Turn out. Knock off Poison Jab, Drain Punch, U-Turn. Poison Jab was there for the Primarina, which didn't come. Enough speed on here for the Galarian Darmanitan. I'm running Boots Articuno, again, specially defensive set designed for the Primarina, which didn't come. So in this case, it can potentially be used against Aegislash or like specially offensive Zeraora, potentially. Freeze Dry, Roost, Protect, and U-Turn. Just fully specially defensive with heavy-duty boots. And then Heatran, I'm running fully physically defensive Heatran with Shukaberry, so this is an ideal check. Well, not really ideal, but it's my only check to Galarian Darmanitan. With Flash Cannon, Flamethrower, Protect, and Will-O-Wisp. Fully physically defensive. Luckily, I didn't need to put rocks on this because I have rocks on defensive Lando, so I have room for the Will-O-Wisp there on the set, which can cripple almost everything on this team, and a lot of things are going to run Earthquake for me, so the Shuka is going to be super helpful there. Besides that, I do have 3 ground immunities, so I should be able to help out Heatran. So that is the team, and let's get right into things here. The Donphan lead against my Yveltal. I was just planning on leading Yveltal to Foul Play the Darmanitan, but I'm going to get a Dark Pulse off and just demolish this Donphan's health. It's a very obvious switch in Tyranitar, but I wanted to scout damage a little bit with Dark Pulse. Shows to be a little bit more than I expected. Tyranitar and Sand is very bulky, especially, but Mienshao is a really easy check to this, especially if it's going to Dragon Dance. And I'm just going to Drain Punch here on the first turn. If she had Mega Evolved, she still wouldn't have outsped me because I was Scarfed, so we're just going to be able to pick off the T-Tower, which is great. That does show that I am Scarfed, though, so the Aegislash gets to come in on the Drain Punch for free and click Swords Dance. Luckily, I got the Intimidate off there. And on the King's Shield, I'm going to set up my rocks. I figured King's Shield was pretty obvious, and we are going to pop a Shuka with my Earthquake, and Opal will set up another Swords Dance, and then Protect again, which doesn't really make sense to me. Like, it didn't really change anything. But Lando's just going to be able to 1v1 this Aegislash. I was faster all the time, so that really helped. Dharma's going to come in. I can pretty easily go into Heat Train here. It's a pretty poor play to go for Earthquake, so the Dharma is now taking a little bit of extra damage. There's no more sand here for the Lycanroc Dust, or Lycanroc Midday, I mean. So Lando can switch into that really easily. I eat the Stone Edge, and I can Earthquake this Lycanroc and kill it. So rocks are up on my side. Not the end of the world, just means my Lando can't switch in again. So I'm just going to leave it in against the Zero Aura. I clicked Earthquake because it was my best play, but Play Earth was a solid option there. Beedrill obviously outspeeds this, so I can just go for the Poison Jab. I didn't have to risk another Shuka and go for Drill Run. Galarian Darmanitan's been taking Rock Chip this entire time, and Articuno does pretty much nothing besides check this. So on the Earthquake there, which is actually kind of a sus play considering I had 2 Flying types, I can just go for the Freeze Dry against the Donphan, which actually was Heavy Duty Boots Donphan to save Sturdy, I guess. And now I can Protect on the Darm and scout out what it's going to go for. It's obviously Guerrilla Tactics at this point, so I can just go into my Heatran on the Icicle Crash and go for Flamethrower, Flash Cannon, or whatever, and finish off the game. The Icicle Crash miss there didn't matter unless I was going to get flinched to death, which seems fairly unlikely. So we did pick up the 5-0 win over Opal and the Gloomwood Gloom. Pretty successful week 4. We had to play this in unrestricted rather than just Nat decks because Galarian Darmanitan had just been moved to Ubers, and the way it was coded did not allow it in national decks on sports yet, so had to do that. But I was pretty content with this one, honestly. I felt like I was in control of this game the entire time because there was just a severe lack of special attackers. No Primarina, no Porygon Z. It was physical Aegislash rather than special Aegislash, so like 6 physical attackers against my team with defensive Lando and defensive Heatran was pretty effective. Especially defensive Articuno was good still in hindsight because it was a really solid PZ and Primarina check. And Duosion, I guess, in theory, but excuse me, I didn't really expect Duosion against Mega Beedrill, like pretty much ever, or Dracovish, things of that nature. This team is actually built pretty weak to Dracovish. I'm not sure that there was actually a good Dracovish check, but I didn't bother putting Dracovish on the team, I think because of Hitmontop, but I could be wrong on that one. So that was week 4. Moving on to week 5, we are taking on Melanie and the Circhester Snover. Her team consisted of Rotom Wash, Ferrothorn, Alolan Muck, Porygon 2, Sigilyph, Ariados, Mega Diancie, Cinderace, Dracloak, Heracross, and Cryogonal. She ended up bringing a lot of the same stuff most of the season, so this is a pretty easy one to predict. Pretty much these 6 had come to every single game and would come to every single game for the rest of the season. Turns out Libero Cinderace being like high tier 1 wasn't the best thing in the world for this team. Being forced into taking Dracloak of all things was a little bit sus and just ended up not being great for them. But in terms of my team, I am running, what am I running here? Another Shuka Tran, but this time specially defensive Shuka Tran for the Mega Diancie, so I can eat an Earth Power. Flash Cannon, Taunt, Lava Plume, and Toxic. Taunt there for Curse Muck. Any kind of P2 variant, any kind of Ferrothorn variant is a really good lead option for me, except against the Rotom Wash, of which I have a Delmise, so I can just switch into that every single time. Mega Beedrill is knockoff U-Turn, Poison Jab, and Defog, running enough speed for Cinderace, so I'm adamant with a little bit of bulk. Knockoff U-Turn, Poison Jab, Defog. I mean, Defog is really just kind of a clickable option in case the Ferrothorn starts to hazard stack on me, but most of the time I can click Poison Jab over and over and over again, and U-Turn out on a lot of other stuff. I wanted the knockoff tech, though, for the P2 and the Muck. I think it's really important to get rid of those items. Vikavolt is Specs with Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Bug Buzz, and Toxic. I'm just max HP, max special attack. Specs Vikavolt really just doesn't have a switch in on this team. Like, Muck can normally take it, and P2 can kind of take it. That's kind of the idea behind Toxic is for the P2. I don't think Muck would want to switch in as much as that. Bug Buzz, really spammable. Really spammable. It will 2-shot Cinderace, and Diancie can take it if it switches into regular form, but I don't believe it I don't believe it. Like, I believe it gets two-shot if it switches in while it's Mega'd. Besides that, just having reliable Volt Switch against this team is solid. There's no ground type, so I felt the Specs was a really good option against no ground type. Just really spammable Volt Switch against this team. Lando is a Rocky Helmet variant, another one to check Cinderace this time, just like it was in the last game to check the, what was it? Not Mega Turn, Aegislash. Earthquake, Rocks, U-Turn, and Toxic. Again, Toxic there for the P2. I could have run Knockoff instead, but I opted into the U-Turn over that because I wanted to get in my Vikavolt pretty much as I could this game. Vikavolt or Dracovish, which is going to come in a bit. I'm outrunning something in particular, 298. I'm not sure what that is, or 297. 298. Okay, so I'm outspeeding Rotom Wash with this Lando, so I can always outspeed that, get a Toxic off, or just U-turn on it afterwards, which I actually thought was relatively important. Just being able to punish the Cinderace, I think, is more important than all of that combined. I can get up rocks against a lot of stuff. I threaten out the Diancie, so I don't have to worry about trying to play around Magic Bounce on that. I don't think it's a great play on her end. Yeah, on her end to click to go into Diancie on Lando pretty much ever. So Rocks is a relatively safe click, and Rocks chip against the Cinderace is pretty nice. Delmise is a Lumberry set for Will-O-Wisp Rotom. It's my Rotom switch in every single time. It's my spinner for anything like Ferrothorn. The ghost type on this team is Dracoloak, so that was never coming against me. Pretty easy to just click spin against a lot of stuff. Power Whip, Knockoff, Shadow Claw, Power Whip there for the Rotom. Again, this is my Rotom Nuke. Knockoff, again, I want to get rid of the Eviolite on the Pre-2. I want to get rid of any Berry on the Muck. And then Shadow Claw just as a last-ditch option. Something to hit the Cinderace a little bit harder if it's what wants to switch into me for some reason. Max HP, Max Attack, Adamant. And then last but not least is Dracovish, another Scarf Dracovish. Outrunning Cinderace, which is the fastest thing on her team. Fishious Rend, Iron Head, Psychic Fang is low kick. Low kick really only there for the Ferrothorn. It should two-shot it or OHKO it depending on the Ferrothorn spread. And then Rend is pretty much the only thing I need to click against everything else. I'm not entirely sure why I have Iron Head or Psychic Fangs again. Iron Head, I guess, is just a little bit... It's pretty much never better to click Iron Head against the Diancie or the Cryogonal, so I'm really not sure why I have that. Maybe for flinching later. It's kind of a waste. Really, like, these moves would normally be filled with, like, Toxic. That's kind of just my filler move on a lot of Pokemon is Toxic when I don't need the coverage. But because Dracovish is a Gen 8 Mon, it doesn't get access to Toxic, so I couldn't run that. So, unfortunately, I just couldn't roll with that. So, yeah, I'm just going to leave the Heatran. Like I said, it is the best possible lead for me, especially against a Ferrothorn. She makes a weird play by staying in with Ferrothorn against my Heatran, and I double Toxic as she gets up Rocks and a Leech Seed. This start was not good at all. I'm just going to finally opt to kill this thing. I'm going to burn it with Lava Plume, and it's Seed Bomb. So, like, I don't even understand what was happening with that. I'm really not sure why she decided to leave Ferrothorn in. Like, it was a good Dracovish answer, and there isn't another great one besides Rotom, so I was kind of just prepared for that. I'm going to be able to live the Earth Power still at this range and Flash Cannon the Diancie back, so one of the two offensive threats is gone. Rotom is going to come in. Like I said, Delmise is my switch into this every single time, and I can spin on this. Showing Thunderbolt tells me it's a little bit more offensive. I am able to get the spin off on the Ferrothorn, and I should be able to kill this afterwards. Despite it getting the Rocky Helmet damage off, I wanted to get another speed boost so that I'm potentially faster than a Cinderace after. Just getting the kill with Rapid Spin there was a little bit better. But Cinderace is still faster than me, and so it's just going to be able to pick off my Delmise. I think that's okay in the end, because there's no more hazards left here, so it didn't really matter to me. My Lando, I'm just going to be able to get to the U-turn off against the Cinderace. It was a pretty obvious Earthquake on my part. It shows me that she's probably locked in. And then I bring in my Vikavolt on the Rotom, I eat the Hydro Pump, and Specs Volt Switch just a lot. Enough that U-turn is definitely going to be able to kill it for my Mega Beedrill. And we're sort of starting this cycle of just Volt turning around. Dracovish is going to come in on the P2 here. I unfortunately give it the special attack boost, but Ren does so much damage to this specially defensive P2. Fishious Ren just going to be able to pick that off really easily. Alolan Muck, also, same thing, just absolutely drops to Fishious Rend. And Cinderace, while it can kill me with High Jump Kick here, it's going to have to lock itself into that, and so Lando is a super safe option, and I'll be able to pick this off with Rocky Helmet damage plus Earthquake, plus a second Earthquake. So I think it was Banded Cinderace at the end of the day, but pretty solid 4-0 win for me. I didn't get Vikavolt in as much as I would have liked to, but it was pretty solid win. I think the plan was all right. Dracovish ended up picking off the P2 and the Alolan Muck really, really easily. I was not expecting Dracovish to do that much damage to either of them. Just kind of shows how broken Strongjaw Vicious Rend is, especially when you're able to run Adamant on that. Had I been banned, that's a little bit better. And banned actually would have just straight up OHKO'd the P2 and the Muck, and then I would have lived a hit from Cinderace and been able to kill that, even though it was faster than me. So banned, in hindsight, was maybe a little bit better against something like the Rotom and the Ferrothorn. But I wanted to be able to outspeed the Diancie and the Cinderace if it wasn't going to be Scarfed. Actually, the Cinderace outsped my Dracovish, so the Cinderace was definitely... The Cinderace here was actually also Scarf Cinderace, so that was maybe intentional to outspeed Mega Beedrill potentially, or Boltund. I'm not sure how many people are actually threatened by Boltund, but that's what's going through my head. So we pick up another win. So now we're 4-1. I don't remember the differential. We'll talk about the end stats after week 6 once I get into my thing. Once we're done week 6, I'll go through the weekly info and find week 6 standings and whatnot. Oh nope, they aren't here. Okay, that's fine. I'll just we're 4-1 plus 17. There we go. At the end of week 5, and then we'll just elaborate, extrapolate. Sorry, in the next one. So week 6, I actually forgot to change my avatar before playing this one. I was in a little bit of a rush. Normally, I'm not in that much of a rush. I like going on incognito mode, so that logging in and everything is brand new. It doesn't have my avatar recognized or anything like that. And then it's easier for me to paste into the calculator because it's only those custom sets. And it's easier for me to log on to the account on Showdown. But I forgot to change my avatar in this one, so I am Hilda for this game, taking on Bede and the Balonly Baltoy. Bede's team was pretty whack. It consisted of Thundurus Therian, Mimikyu, Politoed, Whimsicott, Avalugg, Lapras, Mega Abomasnow, Barraskewda, Wooloo, Arceus Dark, and Toxicroak. I wasn't entirely sure what to expect because a lot of stuff came that I wasn't really expecting, like Wooloo, for example, as well as the Lapras. I didn't think either of those were great, but Lapras in particular is a Water Absorb user for the Dracovish, so I thought that could also be a good reason for it, because Dracovish in Rain is pretty damn terrifying. Yeah, besides that, I mean, I know I've got Psychic Fangs on there for the Toxicroak, but let's run through the team that I brought. I have Felstinger, Poison Jab, U-Turn, Aerial Ace, Mega Beedrill, outspeeding Barraskewda. Pretty relatively niche Beedrill set, actually, with the Felstinger and the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace being there for something in particular. Toxicroak, I guess. I didn't want to run Drill Run, so I'm running Aerial Ace for the Toxicroak. That's why. Odd. But alas, I guess I just didn't want to run Drill Run against this team for some reason. So I've got the Aerial Ace there. Felstinger super viable against this team in particular. There's a lot of bug weaknesses in like the Mega Abomasnow and the Arceus Dark, but I felt like I could pick off some squishier stuff with Felstinger and then kind of just sweep with Mega Beedrill. Dracovish is of course Scarf. It's actually speed tying something. Barraskewda? No. Because I'm max speed, I can outspeed Barraskewda, but not Barraskewda in Rain. Fishious Rend, Low Kick, Super Fang, and Facade. In case I get burned by a Scald or something like that, that's what Facade's there for. Fishious Rend should do a lot. Low Kick is there. It'll two-shot the Arceus. And it's also a way to super effectively hit the Lapras, where I'm not clicking Rend. And then Super Fang just chips a bunch of stuff down. Mienshao is also Scarfed with U-Turn, High Jump Kick, Rock Slide, and Poison Jab. Rock Slide is for the Thundurus, I believe, rather than Stone Edge, because I hate missing that. High Jump Kick is pretty spammable against this team, despite like Protect and Mimikyu. Poison Jab is for the Whimsicott, although I probably should have been running Iron Head if this gets it, to hit both the Whimsicott and the Mimikyu. Hindsight is 20/20, really. Outspeeding Thundurus Therian. Lando is Pasho Berry for the Rain with Rocks, Earthquake, U-Turn, and Superpower. Superpower there to hit the Abomasnow, which didn't come. So U-Turn will be my best click most of the time. Really, it's there to get up rocks and intimidate things. Outspeeding the Toxicroak, which is not there. Comfy is Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, Giga Drain, and Aromatherapy. Giga Drain is really, really free against this team, and Comfy actually looks really amazing to me in this matchup. It looked amazing in the first place, but Arceus is a pretty free comfy setup. A lot of this team is really free comfy setup actually, and it kind of just beats down a lot of this team. Besides like Whirlpool, Perish Song, Polytoad, and things like that, I don't have U-turn to get out of that because I'm running Aromatherapy instead, predicting like Toxics and Burns and whatnot. But fully physically defensive comfy, it looked like a really good comfy matchup to me. Heatran against the Rain team is kind of weird, but I'm running a Shukaberry set because it is actually my Mega Abomasnow check, which shouldn't come. So I'm running Sunny Day on this to block out the rain and the hail, and then Toxic, Protect, and Flamethrower. So Protect is to stall out rain turns. Toxic just beats down this entire team because Toxicroak just does not appreciate Heatran ever. And then Flamethrower is pretty obvious. I would think it's kind of a mixed defensive set with some physical defense on there. Biggest problem for me is probably going to be this Barraskewda. I don't have the defensive tools to handle Barraskewda. Delmise would have been okay, but actually isn't because Barraskewda gets crunched really easily. Articuno could have been okay again as a freeze dry user against a rain team, especially as a hurricane user against a rain team. So I'm not sure why I didn't do that. Or like Yveltal, which I just didn't bring. Strange on my part for not bringing the Yveltal, I'm not going to lie. But that's okay, because we're just going to get right into things here. So I'm going to lead Beedrill because it's pretty free against everything here. I can break the Disguise on the Mimikyu. Mimikyu is a weird lead to me. But Heatran is a pretty good check to this now that Abomasnow's on here, especially seeing leftovers. Just very strange. That player F did 11, so I get to Toxic the Mimikyu, which negates the leftovers recovery now. I'm really not sure what I'm doing. I'm just kind of protecting and like stalling this Mimikyu out a little bit. Shadow Claw now. I don't know why it clicked like player F in the first place, but Lando is a pretty solid switch into this to punish it a little bit. It turns out +1 Shadow Claw is actually still doing quite a lot of damage to Lando, and then +1 player F kills. So I'm not sure what I was thinking with the Lando there, but I no longer have rocks now. Felt like kind of a choke, and then Beedrill is going to take a lot from Shadow Sneak. Instead of just killing it, I go into my Mienshao, which can regenerate and kill this with a U-turn, but I don't kill it with a U-turn, and I go into my Heatran. So at least I take the player off and this Mimikyu finally dies, but I had to sack Lando. I gave up a ton of HP on my Beedrill and a little bit of HP on my Heatran. I'm not liking this so far, I'm not going to lie. Barraskewda comes out to kill a Heatran, which is also weird, instead of like going out into rain first. And then I'm going to miss the Super Fang on the Lapras. I knew Lapras was coming out for sure. I thought maybe the Polytoad or something like that. It's going to show Ice Beam, and I'm really just going to continue to switch out with my Mienshao and get in my Comfy on this Polytoad. So it does show Leftovers, which is not the Rain Extender. Damp Rock. And I'm just going to Calm Mind up on this Polytoad. It shows Haze, which is kind of fun. Kind of cool tech there for all of the setup that I have, I guess. But as long as I'm stalling out Rain, I am fine staying with my Comfy here. It showed Hydro, which was Surf and Haze. I'm not sure what the last move is, but it's definitely not Perish Song. I can kind of just Calm Mind on this for a long time and get priority Giga Drains off against this team. The Wooloo is going to opt to come in, which I thought was a little bit strange as well. So now my Comfy is just continuously going to set up against this Wooloo. It shows Thunder Wave, but again, I've got Aromatherapy, so I don't really care about that. And then it's Agility, so I get full Paralyzed in the Agility. Again, it doesn't really matter to me. Cotton Guard also doesn't really matter to me. Double Edge is doing negligible damage, and I can just boost on this, and then the Polytoad will die to Giga Drain eventually. So I'm going to start going for Draining Kiss and getting some HP back here. It's taking a little bit from Double Edge Recoil. I knew that eventually it was going to kill itself with Double Edge Recoil, so I kind of just wanted to boost up as much as I could, and then at this point Draining Kiss and get my HP back, so that I can sort of 1v1 the Polytoad at +4. That is what's going to come in, and I'm going to get a ton of HP back from this Giga Drain here. I do 58%, and obviously the Haze is going to come out, but this Comfy is such a gigantic problem for him. Him, I don't know. What is Speed? I'm not sure. Barraskewda is not going to appreciate +1 Giga Drain, and while I don't appreciate +1 Liquidation, nothing on this team appreciates priority Giga Drain at this point, so I'm just going to be able to get a ton of HP back on my Comfy. Kill the Barraskewda, which is really the only threat, and then get a bunch of HP back against the Lapras as well, which is going to attack me with the Ice Beam. I can just continuously Giga Drain on the Lapras and gain enough HP back that I'm out of range of Ice Beams. But then there's a freeze, and so I'm like, all right, well, what can I really do here? I kind of just have to sack my Comfey or hope that I Thaw, which I'm not going to Thaw. So my Comfey is going to die, which actually really sucked because it was kind of my way of dealing with the Arceus. I'm trying to get in my Beedrill on this Lapras, which now shows Rest. I'm trying to get my Beedrill in on this so that I can Fell Stinger it and just win the game like that. So I'm going to set up Sunny Day with Heatran and just obliterate this with a couple flamethrowers. It's going to be forced into a position where it has to rest at some point, which I'm hoping is the turn that I can get Beedrill in on this, but all of these Sleep Talk Ice Beams are really, really putting me down. I'm not liking that at all. Sleep Talk Surf is going to do a little bit, but because of the sun, it's not going to do as much as it could. And as long as it doesn't roll Surf here, I'm in a good position, or Freeze me, I guess. I'm in a good position to just kill this with Flamethrower now. So the Lapras proved to be too much of a problem for my Beedrill, and as Arceus comes in, I can at least deal with this with Beedrill. So I'm going to Toxicate on its setup turn, and then go into my Mienshao, which I know can take a hit from this. Dark Judgment, which is resisted, by the way, that just did 90%. I don't appreciate that at all. I'm going to go back into my Heatran and sack that to the Shadow Ball. Let the Arceus take a little bit more chip, and then go into my Beedrill, finish this thing off with a U-turn instead of a Fellstinger. Did I take Fellstinger off this set? No, I had Fellstinger and U-turn, and then Dracovish will just be able to finish off the Politoed at the end of the game here. So, pretty weird game. Honestly, I thought this was going to be one of my easier games besides the Barraskewda, and when I dealt with the Barraskewda really easily with my Comfey, I thought the game might be over, but that unfortunate freeze from the Lapras meant that Comfey couldn't just clean up this game, and ended up moving from a 5-0 to a 3-0. We still take those. A win is a win, as they say. And we moved to 5-1. What was I? 4-1 plus 17. So 5-1 plus 20 at the end of this one. We will take that every single day of the week. So hopefully you guys enjoyed part 2 here. This was weeks 4, 5, and 6. I will be putting out another one next week. I forgot to do all of the logos, so that is my bad. That was Gloom and Gloom. There's Surchester Snover. And there's Only Beltoy. I had them already, but I'll fix that and make sure to make a note of that for the next movie, which will be weeks 7, 8, and 9. As we head down the stretch, week 6, we were sitting in some position. Unfortunately, Shay doesn't have the weekly recap for, or the week 5 standings for this one, but in week 5, I was in second at 4-1 plus 17, so I would imagine I'm probably still in second at 5-1 plus 20. There was one undefeated team ahead of me at the time. And I will have to keep an eye out for that when... Yes, I was, because the undefeated person also still won. So I was in second place at this point, and keep an eye out for our next movie, which is week 7, 8, and 9.